Hey everybody, Jason Burmis here, and I've been meaning to do a video on the revelations about MAINWAY, especially now that this track trace database society is now being pushed upon us to save us from a virus. But in reality, what's it doing? It's also being used to track, trace, and database not only the protesters, but each and every single one of us in contact chaining and social networks for an eventual China-like social credit score, unfortunately, because China is the beta test. This is a quote-unquote new world order. And unfortunately, whether or not you think Snowden is limited hangout, whether or not, like me, you're upset that all the documents were not put out by Greenwald and others, because I am, there was a lot of things in those documents that simply not only proved what I've been saying for years, but is, a great way to open people's minds to the truth. And we're going to go over everything MAINWAY. There's actually a really good Wired article, which is actually an excerpt from a book called Dark Mirror. And I read through the whole thing, although it's a little bit apologetic to the FBI, the NSA, the surveillance state, if you will, via terrorism, 9/11, and the Boston bombing situation. It really does break down, we're going to read big excerpts of this, how this wasn't just a track trace database system post 9/11. They were doing contact chaining, and at the press of a button, they were able to basically make a network, and anybody could be compromised. It's in their own documents. We're going to get there in a moment. I want to remind everybody, I am fully demonetized on this platform. No super chats, no nothing. We still do it live because I think it's really important to put the information out and hopefully have some interaction with the audience. $5, $10, $15 means the world to me. When I do AMAs, we go to this first 4 questions because this is the new super chat feature. Big donations. So tomorrow I can actually go put my paperwork in a Dropbox and hopefully get a car on the road and get moving across this country of ours that, I was looking for freedom, but now we might find riots. All right. And I also want to remind everybody, I'm a documentary filmmaker, and we're going to actually watch a large excerpt of Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, to show you that MAINWAY was really a continuation of this track trace database society that I've been talking about for well over a decade. All right? So check it out. And by the way, I do also want to point out before I even get into MAINWAY that, the Trump administration is still doing this too. All the way back in 2017, this is part of the permanent state. Forget about the deep state. This is the surveillance system that trucks onward no matter who is the president of the United States, no matter who is in the cabinet. All right? So I hate that keeps popping up. But inside the NSA's secret tool for mapping your social network. Okay? And when you look at this, you find out, remember they were just saying, oh, we don't store this stuff. And by the way, storage was never the issue. These guys had plenty of storage. It was processing power for this real-time network they were creating of all American citizens. That's right, all American citizens, all American conversations. It wasn't just if everybody's like, oh, well, if you're calling somebody overseas, we want to know about it. No, that wasn't what I kept telling people. The Track Trace Database Society has been here for a long, long time. And it's always like, well, if you're not doing anything, well, then you don't have to worry about it. All right? Give me a break. That's nonsense. And they know it's nonsense. Man, this thing is going to keep popping up, huh, Wired? Thank you so much for that. Okay? Listen, it says right here, even by that account, the scale of collection brought to mind an evocative phrase from legal scholar Paul Ohm. Any information insufficient volume, he wrote, amounted to a database of ruin. It held personal secrets that, if revealed, would cause more than embarrassment or shame. It could lead to serious, concrete, devastating harm. Nearly anyone in the developed world, he wrote, can be linked to at least one fact in a computer database that an adversary could use for blackmail, discrimination, harassment, or financial or identity theft. Revelations of past conduct, health, or family shame, for example, could cost a person their marriage, career, legal residence, or physical safety. Do you get it? All right? The mere creation of such a database, especially in secret, profoundly changed the balance of power between government and governed. This was the dark mirror embodied. Okay? And this is the real deal. People need to check this out. All right? So, during September 11th, they already had systems in place, and we're going to get to those systems. But supposedly, this is the jump from just the database system and the processing power they had to where they actually get a bunch of Dell server machines and make this large cluster. Okay? And when you look at this thing, it says all phone records, but we're talking about voice data. We're talking about messenger. We're talking about images. You name it. Everything. Everything you can imagine. All right? And there it is, MAINWAY. Okay? And they say it came to life along with Stellar Wind, which was already in place, which was a domestic surveillance program created by Cheney in the first frantic weeks after Al-Qaeda attacked the Pentagon and World Trade Center. Again, this is why, my films have focused on 9/11 and globalism. And again, shade. Who was talking about Bill Gates 7+ years ago? Trying to explain to people that all of this genetically modified organisms, big pharma, they're all linked together in this plan for people to rule without accountability outside of bloodlines. And believe me, the powerful bloodlines are part of that predator class as well. Everybody else is just a social climber that's down with the plan. So that's why Invisible Empire, which we're going to watch a segment of very shortly, and Shade are so important right now. They're free, by the way, in the documentaries playlist section. Okay? So you start getting into MAINWAY, and you realize, once again, that they lied about all of this stuff, but databasing, and they actually use the term database in here. Where's this? The data in bulk. They show you a little piece of it. I want to show this right here. AT&T and Verizon. Why is that important? Because when we go back to all the way to Norris Insight Systems in the 90s, they already were taking all of our calls and databasing them. The databasing part had been taken care of years and years and years ago. All illegally. And they're still doing it. Okay? MAINWAY was queen of metadata, foreign and domestic, designed to find patterns that context did not reveal. Beyond that, MAINWAY was a prototype for a still more ambitious plans. Next generation systems. That are way in place, by the way. Okay? Way in place. Their planners wrote, could amplify the power of surveillance by moving from a more traditional analysis of what is collected to the analysis of what to collect. And this is, again, why I talk about Google not being a company. All right? It's not a private corporation. Just like what you're watching me on now, if you're watching via YouTube, is not a private corporation. They're the number 1 and number 2 search engines in the world. They're operating systems for more than half of the cell phones globally. Probably much more than half. Probably 3/4 are on Android as opposed to Apple. Okay? And then they're working on what? Quantum computing and AI, artificial intelligence systems with our government via NASA programs. You explain to me how that's a private industry. It's not. It never was. It never was. Okay? Metadata was the key to the NSA's plan to identify, track, store, manipulate, and update relationships across all forms of intercepted content. All forms. Okay? They could track nearly anyone's movements and communications on a global scale. You see what I'm saying here? I mean, this has all been revealed for some time. And we're going to show you the Norris Insight Systems. And we're going to show you a little piece of this document right here. And what it's called. It says, MAINWAY, or the MAINWAY Pre-Computed Contact Chaining Service. Remember, contact chaining. Now we're on contact tracing. And by the way, they make the analysis, if everybody's aware of 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon, but they said that they could link any American through 3 degrees. In other words, three people. We are all interconnected somehow through their database. I mean, do you get how serious this really is? Okay? It is an analytic tool for contact chaining. It's helping analysis do target discovery by enabling them to quickly and easily navigate for increasing volumes of global communications metadata. MAINWAY attacks the volume problem of analyzing the global communications network. COVID-19 84, anybody? Contact Tracing Army, anybody? Track Trace Database Society, in your face? And they lie to you about all of it. So again, when we talk about how we should trust the intelligence community, I don't know what the F you're talking about. I don't know what you are talking about at all. At all. It's all here. Right in your face. Contact chaining. Are you kidding me right now? Nope. Why isn't this headline news? Why is this kind of just masked away in somebody's book in a Wired article? Shouldn't we be concerned about this, that these programs are continuing, especially today? No? Bueller? Anybody? By the way, thumbs this video up, subscribe, and share as we go over this, guys. So now, you know, I want to encourage you to actually go read this, because I mean, this is it. I mean, here it is right here. MAINWAY's purpose, in other words, was neither storage nor preparation of a simple list. Constant, complex, and demanding operations fed another database called the graph in memory. Okay? It was never about just databasing. This is the social credit score system. This is the track trace society where everything from every keystroke to every moment in front of a camera or a microphone is being analyzed into your personality. You know, they're going to go precog as much as they can. You think Minority Report was sci-fi? Maybe some aspects of it were, but boy, do they want that system. You know, and he's so apologetic, but then he's like, you know, they really did screw over MLK Jr. No kidding. And there's so many different points where 3-letter agencies in this country are corrupt, number one, numero uno, but get caught surveilling people that are what? Peacefully protesting and going against the system. And then they suddenly end up dead. It's so weird. People like MLK Jr., you know, he just ends up dead. John Lennon just ends up dead. You know, they get an Egyptian army officer in 1993 to make and cook the bomb for the World Trade Center. You know, and he has to tape them to prove that's the case, that they supplied the material. When I say they, I talk about the FBI. We should trust our intelligence community. Yeah. Okay, sure we should. So, guys, I want to play this excerpt of Invisible Empire to show you the Norris Insight systems and to show you that all of this stuff didn't have to happen if people were awake and pushing back when it was out in the open that they were doing this for a long time. Promise, carnivore, you name it.
The New World Order will stop.
Well, it'll freeze up
nothing to achieve planetary dominance. Whether it be assassination, wars based on lies, and even a phony environmental movement. So it should come as no surprise that they have been tracking, tracing, and databasing our lives for years. Many people are aware that the Bush administration engaged in warrantless wiretaps on American citizens. What they don't understand is that it's come out in court that all the major telecommunications companies have been secretly storing every piece of data received from our phones and our computers and handing them over to the National Security Agency.
You heard about the government secretly listening in on phone conversations without a warrant, but there is evidence that your email is also being tapped.
The government has been intercepting most emails as part of its terrorist surveillance program. That program has been criticized as illegal because it's missing an important ingredient: search warrants.
But again, it was more than your email, it was more than your phone calls, it was everything they could get.
Several years ago, Klein says he came to suspect that AT&T had installed secret computer gear designed to spy on internet traffic at the request of the National Security Agency.
This is just a small part of the picture. as AT&T was not the only company involved and emails were not the only issue. The NSA was installing Norris Insight systems, which are capable of monitoring billions of bits of internet traffic per second. It was also able to monitor any calls traffic through its system, all websites visited, all instant messaging, and separate types of transaction records.
The secret room at AT&T contains gear which enables the government to look at every individual message on the internet and analyze exactly what people are doing. Here's another document. It mentions a company called Norris. Norris makes computer software that can swallow and analyze 10 gigabytes of information every second.
And that's a fraction. Remember, this movie was made back in, I probably started making it in 2008 or 9 and was done in 2010, and the research for it went on for years. You know, I was studying this stuff, pretty much as soon as I was studying 9/11 and trying to put this together. So once again, this is way old technology. This predates Snowden, but people still didn't believe that we were living in that track trace database society, that they were doing this.
That means it could go through all the information in all the books in the Library of Congress in a little over 15 minutes.
The documents Klein and others were able to produce were then censored by the NSA.
Bankston isn't allowed to talk about the documents in detail. The government has since had them sealed, but he says what is in there boggles the mind.
We are talking about a substantial portion of all the communications traffic in the United States.
The policies have been shielded by the Obama administration and continue to this day. Attorney General Holder has publicly stated lawsuits be thrown out of court, and after several attempts, Klein and other cases were thrown out as well, once again citing the national security of what used to be a constitutional republic, not a massive corrupt slave state.
How about that? Remember we've been in this massive corrupt slave state for quite some time, okay? So again, they were doing this a long, long time ago. Guys, thumbs this video up, subscribe and share. Remember, I only do it with your support, $5, $10, $15. It means the world to me. Large donations. Go check out the exclusive at Rockfin that's up there for free on Trump and the World Health Organization exiting it and why that's a big deal and actually a positive thing on the end of going up against globalism. Again, doesn't cost you a thing to make an account, and go check that out. We do that live every Tuesday. Make sure you're subscribed. Join the Burmist Brigade if you're new, and please go check out all my documentary films for free, including the one you were just watching, Invisible Empire, A New World Order Defined, in the documentaries playlist section before YouTube takes it down. Shade the Motion Picture, so important. If you want to understand why false flag terrorism, and especially 9/11, is still so damn important, please watch Loose Change Final Cut and Fabled Enemies. Again, they're all free, and I think they stand up to this day and are extremely important. It shows you it's not about Republican or Democrat, left or right. It's about right and wrong and exposing the truth no matter where it lies. Guys, I love you, and I'll see you on the flip side.